Windows, what do we need them for? Lights. The library is going to be thrilled about all the cat hair. Basically, weird shit is going on and there's a mystery to be solved. The bad one, so why am I singing the title? Who even knows? I don't know. The Bad Ones by Melissa Albert. Small town. 4 people have gone missing. One of the missing is Becca. Becca happens to be Nora's best friend. And so investigation commence. It just so happens that Becca's left Nora these coded messages, which Nora obviously follows to figure out what in the world is going on. While she's doing that, she's kind of unraveling things from like the past, from like what happened 30 years ago, from Nora and Becca's childhood games. There's so many things happening, going around, and it's happening. We don't know. What happened to these missing people? We don't know. Well, we eventually find out, but it's intriguing. It's very intriguing. I was very hooked. I'm not gonna lie. There may be more than just the regular kind of fiction going on. There may be some fantasy elements going on, and yeah, I do like myself some fantasy elements, don't I? I do. Supernatural elements, rather. Yeah, that makes more sense. No, I did highly enjoy it. There were like there were some bits and pieces that were a bit like, was this needed? Was this just confusing? Either or. I did highly enjoy it though, because short book, easy, fast read. I do like those supernatural elements. Yes, gimme. I did highly enjoy this cover as well. These are glares though. There's too many lights everywhere. Windows, what do we need them for? Lights. Yeah. I'm gonna stop now. The library is going to be thrilled about all the cat hair that Tom has now left on this book. But okay. Shh. It wasn't me. Alright. The Hazel Wood. So, in this one we follow Alice. Alice has spent her whole life on the road with her mum. Basically living life on the road, because there's this like bad luck following them around, so they just move from place to place. But then news comes that Alice's grandmother, who just happens to be like a author of a cult classic fairy tale book, like a collection of fairy tales, she passes away in her estate called the Hazel Wood. Basically, Alice's mum now thinks all the bad luck is over and now they can kind of settle down and be good. Oh, so they thought. One day, someone takes Alice's mum away. Someone who just happens to claim they come from the Hinterland, which is the place that Alice's grandmother's stories takes place. So is this all real? Is this all fake? What is happening? So basically we follow as Alice goes on this journey trying to find her mum and figuring out, first off, she needs to figure out what the stories are, because this cult book is basically non-existent. You can't get a hold of it. It's like been taken out of the world, not just out of rotation. You can't buy it and people have it locked in their houses in the woods. No, basically someone or some things, basically someone has been taking this book out of the world. Like, vamos, poof, you can't get hold of it. Literally, you can't get hold of it. So first she needs to like figure out these stories. But then she kinda, well, she travels to the Hinterland, doesn't she? The help of a classmate, who just happens to be a fan of this cult book. She figures out how to get to the Hinterland. Him too, by the way. But they go to the Hinterland. Her to like find and rescue her mum, him because this is just fascinating to him, being a big fan of the thing. What is this world? What is this world? Basically, this world is just full of stories, but there are also like people from the real world there who just kind of living alongside of the stories. Yeah, it had me confused at times, I'm not gonna lie. It did definitely have me confused, but it also had me very hooked. It was gripping, but also I don't really understand the whole stories, living with the stories, living within the stories, and how the stories came out into the real world, and so many things. There's so many things. I'm not sure which I stand on, if I prefer this one over the bad ones, which I previously read, or the bad ones over there, because the bad ones is also kind of this mysterious thing, which is also a bit all over the place, I'm not gonna lie, but it just grips you in a way. It may be the way that Melissa Albert writes, or the storytelling, the way she's telling the stories, I don't know. It's interesting, it has you hooked. And yes, I have looked into which other books I can get a hold of from a library, so stay tuned because I shall be back in like a second. So see you then. Ah, Crooked Hearts. Why do I always try to sing the titles? That's just weird. So we have two timelines, 2 point of views in this book, in this very short book. So we have Ivy, she is the present. And then we have Dana, who is Ivy's mum, and we have Dana in the past. Like, I think they're both like at the 16, 17 years of age in both their respective timelines. Honestly, I didn't pay attention to that part, but I think they're about the same age. Anyway, in Ivy's point of view, in the present, she kind of sees this naked lady, and she's like, what the fuck? And then soon thereafter, her mum disappears, and dead rabbits start showing up on the porch and in the yard and whatnot. Weird things happening. Also, there's this boy next door who claims that Ivy broke his heart 5 years ago, and Ivy doesn't remember him. So we soon discover that Dana, Ivy's mother, is a witch. As far as the boy is concerned, the boy next door is concerned, she kinda put a little spell on him to forget. Well, not him to forget, but Ivy to forget him. There we go. And in Dana's point of view, we see her discovering witchcraft and joining a coven and all that witchiness. So we see like the evolution of where from Dana's timeline into Ivy's timeline, the present. It mixes and matches. What? It kind of merges into each other, and we get the full picture by the end of it. Basically, weird ass shit is going on, and there's a mystery to be solved. Mostly of why is her mummy gone? Also all the witch crap. I really enjoyed it. It's an interesting take on the whole witchcraft witchiness. There's a bit of evilness, but also not fully evilness going on. It was intriguing. To say the least. Very fast read. I think I think this is my favourite of Melissa's books so far. I think. I mean, I haven't read a whole bunch of it, but I think this is my fave. Yes. So, you know, there's a couple more, so I'll see you in a bit. The Night Country. Book number 2. So this is the continuation of the Hazel Wood. So if you haven't read that book, this might be a bit of a spoilery part. Just a heads up. I think this is, yeah, this is towards the end of this video, so, you know, you can stop now if you want to. Or, you know, jump to the next chapter, which will be the short story collection from this series, which I don't think will be super spoilery, so, you know, see what I think of that. I don't know yet. We'll see. First, this book, The Night Country. So, continuation, spoiler alerts. So in this one we're kind of following two perspectives. We're following Alice still from book number 1, but also Finch. Now, they are in two different places because, spoiler, so Finch helped Alice get from New York into the Hinterland, and then helped her get out of the Hinterland. So Alice is now back in New York, trying to live a unmagical kind of a life. There are some Hinterland characters that's kind of washed up in New York as well. They have sort of this support group for Hinterland characters. They don't really know what to do with themselves, but there's that. And then we have Finch. Finch is back in the Hinterland. He's kind of making his own adventure as he's going along. He's also kind of maybe trying to find a way back home, because that might be a thing he wants to do. But anyway, so this is kind of the aftermath of the book 1. So the big blow up, as it were, the not so happily ever after kind of a situation. Kind of happily, but also not very. It's, yeah, what happens after the fairy tale ends, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Anyway, so Alice is trying to live normal life, just doing things as a normal human would do, except she's not actually a normal human, but that's besides the point. But things start to happen around town. The other characters, the other stories, I should say, they are starting to die. They are getting killed off by something. And here's the little twist of it. They seem to be dying the way that Alice can kill people, except she's not the one doing it, but she's getting the blame for it. So there's that. So I did appreciate it being a book about like the aftermath of what happens after the story ends, kind of a deal. And we're getting kind of a new setting. I mean, with the first book we start off in New York-ish, and then we go to the Hinterland and meet the stories, of which Alice is one. Spoiler. Yeah, we get an end to that book, but then we have a book 2, which is like what happens after, and I do appreciate that. I'm not sure I needed it, but also it's good to see what happens to Finch, because Finch just kind of goes off into the Hinterland, and I mean that could have been the end of it, but now he's back in our midst, and yeah, there's a whole new big bad kind of a deal. So I kind of liked it. I think I'm a bit like both ways. It's not like I needed it, but it was good. It's kind of that. So, yeah. Thumbs up, I guess. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. So if you like first a fairy tale and then you want a like fairy tale conclusion after what happens next, this would be that book. So yes, I shall see you when I've read the short story collection, which coincidentally I actually have here. It's yes, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna return this. Probably will finish this before I return this. I'm not gonna lie, but there's that. I will see you in a bit. And stop babbling. Right, Tales from the Hinterland. It's the connection to the Hazel Wood and the Night Country. So this book is basically the book that's talked about a lot in book 1, the Hazel Wood, the lost book, the book that no one can actually get at, the one that Alice is her grandmother wrote, and she presumably is named after. You're gonna have to read the whole thing to you know, get the whole gist of it. I don't want to spoil it too much, but basically, no, where was the first page? So we get this. So it's basically, it's written by the grandmother and then collected by Melissa Albert, the author. So we have all the stories that's kind of talked about. Mostly we get told of them in book 1, and then, I mean, book 2 is what happens after. So yeah, so we get told about all these stories. We get like glimpses of these stories in book 1 when the dude whose name I've forgotten now tells Alice, because he's kind of memorized all the stories, and this is the book that tells us all the stories. Yes, so I do appreciate something like this, for when you have a series or just a book where there's a book, in this case, that's, you know, talked about a lot, and you get like glimpses and pieces of it, and you're like, I want to read this book because this is intriguing kind of a situation, and then the author actually releases said book, this being a short story collection book, which, yeah, which just connects to the books, the series, the mini-series. I do appreciate something like that. I usually am not a fan of short stories, but in a case like this, when you have the short stories and you already know the world, as in the Hazel Wood and the Night Country, but mostly the Hazel Wood, let's be honest, we already know the world, so these stories are just like that added bonus that if we really like loved the glimpses and got very much intrigued of the stories we're told in book 1, this would be the perfect solution. Now for me, I mean, I liked the series, I liked it, but I didn't, you know, love it. I wasn't like invested. It wasn't like my whole personality kind of a deal. So for me, this was just an added bonus. It was fun. I didn't really feel like I needed it, but I do appreciate something like this, especially since this one is like illustrated throughout. We get like nice little border edges and stuff. So I do appreciate something like this for a series like that. But in my case, I didn't need it, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. So yes, this is the end of this video. Now I've read all the books of Melissa Albert's that, well, my library has, and I don't know what else there is. There may be more. I will keep her on my radar because I have enjoyed the time I've spent reading her books. Not all the books were for me, not all the stories were for me per se, but I did appreciate the time spent. I had a good time, so, you know, why not read more? Easy, fun times. Yeah, why not? Why not? Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Until then, take care. Oh, bye-bye.